Hare Krishna, good evening everybody. Welcome to our Bhagavad Gita study group. This evening we're going to be going through chapter 8, Tarka Brahma Yoga, the Merciful Absolute. We'll begin first with a Vandana. Om Jnana Timirandasya Dhyananjana Shalakaya Chakuram Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahabharanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Trise Namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, we'll begin by hearing the verses of the 8th chapter, spoken by our Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj. Please try and follow along. And as always, please keep your cameras on and microphones off. We begin.
अष्टमोऽध्यायः तारक ब्रह्मयोग अर्जुन उवाच किं तद् ब्रह्म किमध्यात्मं किं कर्म पुरुषोत्तम अधिभूतं च किं प्रोक्तम् अधिदैवं किमुच्यते अधियज्ञ कथं कोत्र देहेऽस्मिन् मधुसूदन प्रयाणकाले च कथं ज्ञेयोषि नियतात्मभिः श्रीभगवानुवाच अक्षरं परमं ब्रह्म स्वभावोऽध्यात्ममुच्यते भूतभावद् भवकरो विसर्ग कर्म संहिता अधिभूतं खलु भावः पुरुषश्चादिदैवतम् अधियुग्योऽहमेवात्र देहे देहभृतामवरः अन्तकाले च मामेव स्मरन् मुक्ता कलेवरम् यः प्रयाति समद्भावं जाति नस्तत्र संशयः यं यं भावि स्मरन् भावं तयत्तं ते कलेवरं तं तमेवैति कौन्तेय सदा तद्भावभावितः तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु मामनुस्मरदुच्युत्थ च मच्चार्पितमनो बुद्धिर्मामेवैष्यसि असंशयः अभ्यासयोगयुक्तेन चेतसा नन्नगामिना परमपुरुषं जातिमर्थान् चिन्तयन् कविं पुराणामनुशासितारं मनोरणीयान् समनुस्मरेति च सर्वस्य धातारमचिन्तरूप माल्तवर्णन तमसः परस्तात् प्रयाणकाले मनसा चलेन भक्त्या युक्तो योगबलेन चैव भ्रूर्मध्ये प्राणमावेश्य सम्यक् सातं परं पुरुषमुपैति दिव्यम् यदक्षरं वेदविदो वदन्ति विशन्ति च विगतयो वीतरागः यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचर्यं चरन्ति तत्ते पदं संग्रहेण प्रवक्ष्ये सर्वत्राणि संयम्य मनो हि विनिरुद्ध च मूर्ध्याध्यायात्मनः प्राणमाश्रितो योगधारणम् ओमित्येकाक्षरं ब्रह्म व्याहरणमामनुस्मरन् यः प्रयाति सजन देहं स याति परमां गतिम् अनन्यचेता सततं जो मां स्मरति नित्यशः तस्याहं सुलभः पार्थ नित्ययुक्तस्य योगिनः मामुपेत्य पुनर्जन्म दुःखालयमशाश्वतम् नाप्नुवन्ति महात्मानः संसिद्धिं परमां गताः ब्रह्मभुवनाल्लोकः पुनरावर्तिनोऽर्जुन मामुपेत्य तु कौन्तेय पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते सहस्रयुगपर्यन्तं महर्षद् ब्रह्मणो विदुरात्रियुगसहस्रान्तानि ते होरात्रविदो जनाः अभक्ताद् भक्तयः सर्वाः प्रभवन्तः हरागमे रात्रागमे प्रलीयन्ते Tatriva Bhakta Sangake Bhuta Grama Saivayam Bhutta Bhutta Praniyati Rakta Game Basa Pasa Prabhatyahara Game Parastasmatu Bhavanno Bhaktu Bhaktat Sanatana Jasha Sarveshu Bhuteshu Nashatsu Na Vinashati Abhaktu Khalaitu Tasmahu Paramangati Janga Pratpana Nivatante Tatapa Paramangama Urisasapara Artha Bhaktala Bhastanaya Deshanta Sthani Bhutani Jena Sarvamidam Tasam Yatra Kali Tanavrti Mavrtim Chaiva Yogina Prayata Jantitam Kalang Bhakhyami Bhartarasava Ognit Jyotiraha Sukla Shanama Bhayutarayanam Tatra Prayata Gachanti Brahma Brahmo Vidu Janaha Dhura Tristatha Krishna Shanama Dakshinayanam Tatra Chandravasang Jyoti Jyogi Praparivartate Shukla Krishne Goti Jete Jagata Sasate Mate Ekaya Yattana Vittir Mannaya Vattate Punaha Naite Sriti Parthajanam Jogi Muchati Kaschana Tasmat Sarveshu Kalesu Yoga Jukto Bhavarina Vedeshu Yajneshu Tapashu Jaiva Daneshu Jat Purna Palamu Pravishtam Atti Tat Sarvamidam Viditva Jogi Paramustham Poeti Chatyam Iti Sri Mahabharata Chandra Samhidaya Vayadikam Bhishma Parmani Srimad Bhagavad Gita Supanishad Subrahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastra Sri Krishna Arjuna Tālaga Brahma Yoga Nama Samudhaya Mantagar Chitwa Hari Buddhan Bhavan Vaishnavi Puran
Arjuna inquired, O Supreme Person, what is Brahma and what is the soul? What is action and what is the worldly plane? What is the celestial plane? O Madhusudan, within the body, who is the agent of sacrifice? And how is he present? And how are you to be known by the self-controlled at the time of death? The Supreme Lord spoke thus. It is said that Brahma is the imperishable absolute, and the soul is the living being's own spiritual nature. By action is meant the creative force, or offerings by charity, sacrifice, and austerity, etc., to a demigod, manifesting through the gross and subtle elements, the bodies of the human and other species of life. O Arjuna, best of beings, the worldly plane means that which is perishable, such as the body. The celestial plane is the collective universal form, which encompasses and governs the demigod. And I am the Lord of sacrifice, present as the supersoul within the bodies of all living beings, as the sanctioner and rewarder of their actions of sacrifices, etc. One who thinks of me at the time of death attains to my nature on departing this world. Of this there is no doubt. O son of Kunti, one who has always thought of a particular object will remember it and attain to it after leaving the body. Therefore, always remembering me, fight as it is your natural duty. Thus, dedicating your mind and intelligence to me, you will reach me. Of this there is no doubt. O Partha, the yogi who practices meditation with an undeviating mind always thinking of the effulgent Supreme Person, reaches me. He, the Supreme Person, is the all-knowing, beginningless, merciful teacher of devotion unto himself. Although more subtle than the atom, he is the infinite support of all existence. His form is supramundane, that is, of a human-like feature, yet he is self-illuminating and all-illuminating, like the sun. He is transcendental to illusion, one whose mind is fully focused by strength of yoga practice, who continuously remembers him with devotion, and who at the time of death establishes the life force between the eyebrows at the Agya Chakra with full concentration, thinking of him, reaches the effulgent Supreme Person. Along with the method of attaining it, I shall describe to you that objective which the learned knowers of the Vedas call Om, the imperishable, within which the desireless ascetics enter, and which the devout seekers aspire to reach by practicing the vow of celibacy. Controlling all the gateways of the senses, holding the mind steady within the heart, establishing the life force between the eyebrows, and fully absorbing the thoughts in the spiritual self, one who at the time of leaving the body vibrates the monosyllable Om and departs the world in consciousness of me, reaches the transcendental world. O Partha, a person who one-pointedly remembers me always, in all circumstances, and who, in his relationship with me, in servitude, friendship, etc., constantly aspires for my divine association, I am easily reached by such a devotee. The great souls who become my associates in my divine pastimes, having reached me, are never again born into transitory existence, which is the abode of suffering. O Arjuna, from the plane of Lord Brahma downwards, all planes or their residents are subject to return. But, O Kunteya, there is no rebirth after reaching me. A day of Lord Brahma lasts for 1,000 Chaturjugas, and his night is of the same duration. Persons who know this have the true conception of day and night. So 1 yuga or age in the time calculation of the demigods equals the 4 yugas, or 1 Chaturjuga in the time calculation of man, or 4,320,000 years. With the coming of day, the universal progeny, with their bodies, senses, enjoyable objects, and abodes, are born of Lord Brahma in his waking state, and at nightfall they are again absorbed into Lord Brahma, who is known as the unmanifest. O Partha, the multitude of beings are helplessly subject to the law of karma, born again and again. With the coming of Lord Brahma's night, they are absorbed, and with the coming of his day, they are again born. But superior to this unmanifest Lord Brahma, there is another unmanifest, and that existence is beginningless and transcendental to the perception of the living beings. He is not destroyed when all beings are destroyed. He is said to be the unmanifest and the invincible, proclaimed by the Upanishads to be the supreme goal, reaching whom one does not return to this world. Know that destination to be my supreme abode. O Partha, I, the Supreme Person, within whom all beings are situated, and by whom this whole universe is pervaded, am attainable only by exclusive devotion. O Bharata Shaba, Now I shall describe to you the circumstances in which the yogis attain either liberation or rebirth at the moment of death. Upon leaving the body, the knowers of Brahma attain Brahma via the path of fire, light, day, the waxing moon, and the sun's northern ascent. Upon leaving the body, the karma yogi reaches the heavenly plane via the path of smoke, night, the waning moon, and the sun's southern ascent, but returns to undergo rebirth. These two paths of the world, the bright and the dark, are accepted as being perpetual. By the bright path, liberation is attained, and by the dark path, one is reborn. O Partha, the devotee, bhakti yogi, who knows these bright and dark paths is not deluded. Therefore, O Arjuna, be ever fixed in transcendental, exclusive devotion. Thus, knowing of my glories and the glories of devotion to me, the devoted soul, surpassing the scripturally cited fruits of piety, achieved by chanting the Vedas and performing sacrifice, austerity, and charity, attains my supreme holy abode. End of chapter 8, the merciful absolute, from the conversation of Sri Krishna and Arjuna in Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishad, the yoga scripture of transcendental knowledge, in the Bhishma Parva of Sri Mahabharata, the holy scripture revealed by Srila Vyasadeva in 100,000 verses. All right. So, summary of the chapter. The Supreme Lord says that the eternal and inchangeable form of Akara, imperishable absolute reality, is Parabrahman, or the transcendental, all blissful Shyamasundar form. He then explains Adhyatma, the soul, karma, action, Adibhuta, worldly plane, and Adidaiva, the celestial plane. He who remembers the Supreme Lord at the time of death surely attains to his blissful abode. But who meditates on some other object or being at the time of death attains to that plane in their next birth. The Lord then explains that Akara, or the Param Purusha, is attained by deep meditation with unswerving attention while vibrating the primeval sound Om, knowing the Lord's holy name as one and the same with him. The Lord then explains the difference between Karma Mishra Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, and Yoga Mishra Bhakti, mixed devotion, and Shuddha Bhakti, or unadulterated, pure, loving devotion. All the worlds, including the heavenly Brahmaloka, are subject to the cycle of transmigration of the soul. But one who takes absolute shelter in the Lord through the path of purest bhakti is never born in this mundane world again. Rather, they attain to the highest and ultimate end of divine love in his all-joyful realm of unending happiness and soul's fulfillment beyond measure. And the acronym to remember the chapter contents: DEAD. It is a sign of sanity and wisdom if one takes time to contemplate their death. During special festivals, Latin Americans hang skulls in their houses to remind themselves. Yogis in India meditate on the banks of the Ganges, where open pyre funerals are being conducted. Although many would consider it morbid to contemplate death, it is nevertheless a real situation that nobody wants to experience, but that everyone has to face. The Bhagavad Gita outlines 4 such unavoidable predicaments: birth, disease, old age, and ultimately death. We often forget the inevitability of death, and thus in chapter 8, entitled The Merciful Absolute, Krishna deals with this very subject. D for doubt. Verses 1 to 4. Doubting is a function of intelligence, and at no point in the Bhagavad Gita does Krishna reprimand Arjuna for asking so many questions. On the contrary, he encourages Arjuna to intelligently contemplate all his answers and subsequently make his own decisions. This chapter opens with Arjuna's doubts and questions on several spiritual concepts. Krishna concisely answers 7 of Arjuna's 8 questions immediately, and then prepares to answer the final question, which is how can one attain a spiritual destination at the time of death? The rest of the chapter is solely dedicated to answering this essential inquiry. E, end of life, verses 5 to 8. Imagine you're going to watch a movie and you meet someone who just saw it. You'll never guess what happens, they say. Before they even finish that statement, you'll interject and stop them. After all, knowing the end spoils the whole film. Similarly, for those engaged in worldly pursuits, hearing about, contemplating, and accepting the end or death is not the most inspiring reflection. It simply spoils their movie of life in the here and now. For a spiritualist, however, the end is not a depressing thought, since his concept of life and its purpose is much broader. For one who is born, death is certain, and for one who dies, birth is around the corner. Krishna explains how a person's thoughts at death sum up their consciousness and aspirations cultivated throughout life. Thus, one state of mind at the time of death determines their next situation. For those who remember God at death, they reach the kingdom of God. A, attaining the supreme, verses 9 to 22. The entire world is a temporary university, specifically created to dispense life lessons. When one becomes frustrated by the pursuits of this world, they realize that happiness lies in another realm. As spiritual beings, life in a complex world of matter is an incompatible situation. While the material world is rubber-stamped as a constantly changing place of misery, the spiritual world is distinguished as being eternal and all blissful. There are many painstaking ways in which different spiritualists conduct their lives in order to attain that supreme destination. And having attained it, one never returns to this temporary realm again. And D for devotion, verses 23 to 28. Since various spiritual practices are discussed in this chapter, Krishna concludes by outlining the most effective process to attain the supreme bhakti yoga. The path of active service to God in a mood of devotion is described as the topmost spiritual path. In an age of rampant materialism and temptation, coupled with individual weakness and lack of spiritual aspiration, a highly practical and powerful spiritual process is required. Through bhakti yoga, anyone can experience an incredibly fulfilling spiritual connection in a very short time. If one is thus able to saturate their consciousness in God, they will be sure to attain the supreme destination, regardless of all the technicalities and intricacies that other spiritual processes may stress. So there we are, chapter 8. Do we have some questions?
Here.
Ishwaranda Prabhu.
So we could consider that this is like a dream that we're in. And whether it's a tiger chasing us, as we hear sometimes, or whether it's like us driving a Lamborghini, the dreams can be varying. So my question is, in relation to this chapter, how do we wake ourselves up from the dream?
Could you repeat?
Hmm?
Could you repeat?
So the question is, if this world, our experience of this world is a dream, sometimes bad, being chased by a tiger, sometimes happy, driving a Lamborghini, how do we wake ourselves up from that dream? So actually, you can't wake yourself up. Somebody else has to wake you up. That's the truth of it, right? Sometimes I remember when my daughters were younger and I'd wake them for, time to get up and go to school. And sometimes my daughter would say, Dad, I'm having a really important dream. Don't wake me up. And then, yeah, well, you got to get up at time for school. You get up, have a breakfast. While she's eating breakfast, I'd say, so what was that important dream? I can't remember. I can't remember what it was. Couldn't have been that important then, right? So this is why Krishna says that in every age I advent myself, or I send my men or women to help the living beings. We're in this, you can say, the land of the rebels, right? We've seen the bright light, the glitter of the material world, and being attracted to that, we've come here thinking that maybe we can enjoy this world, and we're going to do our best to do that, and trying to do that without any connection with God, or if there is any connection with God, it's just to fulfill our desires. Oh Lord, give me health and wealth and a cottage by the sea. Om Jai Jagadisha Hare. So we're thinking that this world is about us, but actually it's not about us at all. It's all about Him. Everything in the creation is meant for the satisfaction of Krishna, even this material world. And that means that being part of that creation, we also have something to do with satisfying Krishna. As absurd as that may seem, because we're a very tiny living being, we do actually have a spiritual purpose to be instrumental in providing Krishna with satisfaction. And bhakti yoga is the method by which we discover what that is. But first of all, we need to wake up. So we need somebody to shake us, wake us, and we don't like that, actually. Like a child, we say, don't wake me up. I'm happy sleeping, having a nice dream. So in this material world, even a nice dream will not give us real satisfaction because it's a dream. I remember when one of our devotees, he decided he wanted to leave the temple and go and, make his own way, get a flat, all these things. And he'd arranged it all. He told me, I'm going. And I said, why? Why do you want to do that? And he said, I've got to follow my dreams. I've got to follow them. And I said, no, you don't, because it's a dream. Why would you have to follow a dream? We're trying to find and follow the path of reality. So sometimes this is the meaning of sadhu. A sadhu is who wakes us up from our dream. And sometimes we don't like that. Quite often we don't like that until we're like fully awake. Then we realize, oh, what was I dreaming about even? I don't even know what it was anymore. There's an example of that we hear about Lord Indra. When Indra, one of the things about Indra we'll find in Srimad Bhagavatam, that he often does something to insult others. It just seems to be part of his personality. And often that person he insults is his guru. Brihaspati is the guru of Indra. So once he insulted Indra, he insulted Brihaspati in some particular way. And as a result of that, Brihaspati cursed him to become a pig. And so he was transferred from Swarga, heaven, where he's the king of heaven, and suddenly he found himself in the body of a pig, with a pig wife and pig children, and just like wallowing in the muck like pigs do. And anyway, meanwhile, things in the universe were going on, and then they realized, oh, there's no Indra. Indra is not here, and we need him. There's some. So they went to Lord Brahma. Can you please bring Indra back? So Lord Brahma came and he found Indra as a pig, and he said, "Okay, time to come back now to heaven. You're needed there. We have some service you need to carry out. You're needed there." And he said, "Quite happy here, thanks. I'm really happy. I've got all the filth I want. I've got all the I can wallow around in. I've got a beautiful wife and lovely children. Then why would I want to go anywhere else?" So then Lord Brahma, he realized, gonna need some tough love here to bring him out of his delusion. So he took his pig wife and his piglets and he drowned them in the pond nearby. And he is besides him now. Indra's beside, "You killed my wife, you killed my beautiful children, like what the hell?" Then Lord Brahma took Indra and also drowned him, the pig Indra, in the pond. And then, leaving his pig body, he woke up, you would say. Oh, wow. I was thinking that was what was my life as a pig, and yet here I'm Indra. So sometimes, and so he returned to Swarga, took up his heavenly life again there. So sometimes even we're in I might objectively call a horrible situation. But this is one of the potencies of Maya. One is that she thrusts us into a particular situation, and then she covers us with illusion, so that we think, oh, it's quite nice actually. So this is called tamagun, or the mode of ignorance, where we think that our suffering is actually not suffering at all, but pleasure. And we don't want anybody to move us from that situation. But sometimes, as in the case of Indra, some tough love is needed. And that's the where the sadhu comes in. So you see that in our line, the sadhu carries a danda. And that danda is two things. First of all, the danda is an emblem of the authority of Narayan in the world. Who carries the danda? They're representative of Narayan in the world. And second, and it has like a little hook at the top, like kind of semicircle, and it's meant symbolically to be like an axe for cutting through our illusion, our misconceptions. So the sadhus, they wake us up from our dream. You know, they unplug us, if you like, from the matrix, and help us to see the world as it really is. And once we're able to see that, then we can progress in our spiritual life. Problem is that, you know, even when we're in that process, you know, adjustment process, if you like, transition process, that sometimes we're looking back and thinking, do you know, it wasn't so bad, that quite nice actually, you know. And maybe I want to go back to that. I want to go back to that again, because you become comfortable in that position. And this is, again, Maya, the influence of Maya. So you can say, she's saying, come on, I gave you a nice situation there. You had a nice wife and children and lovely food to eat and everything that you wanted. Don't leave me now. There's even better things to come. Just around the corner, just over the hill, you'll find it's there waiting for you. This is Maya, and we believe it. And everybody tells us that it's true. Our parents tell us that it's true. Our teachers at school tell us that it's true. The politicians tell us that it's true. Everything is there waiting for you. You know, you can be happy in this world. You just have to work hard and, you know, do the right thing, and you'll find happiness and satisfaction here in the material world. But the sadhus, they don't sugarcoat it. They tell us that as it actually is, you know, and we can't deny it. We can't deny it. Srila Govinda Maharaj said, it was telling us about when he first came to Guru Maharaj, and he was staying at the house of one wealthy zamindar in the town where he was working as a young man, and he was hosting some sadhus there. They come and they're giving some devotional program there, and he said these sadhus were washing my brain. He said, you know, they said they're telling me, your mother is nothing, your father is nothing, the world is nothing, only Krishna is real. And he said, they're telling all this nonsense to me, but I couldn't deny that it was true. This is actually the fact. You know, we don't like it sometimes, but if we recognize the truth, and if we're honest with ourselves, we can't deny the reality of that. And that means we can't deny the calling that comes with that, the calling that's telling us, wake up. We sing that every morning, like Jeev Jago, Orachanda Bole, Bhaktanidra Raiman, Vishachira Bole. You've been sleeping on the lap of Maya for so long. Now it's time to wake up and hear the call of Mahaprabhu's call to come and worship Lord Krishna. And if we understand that this world is meant for the satisfaction of Krishna, and we're also meant for the satisfaction of Krishna, then our prospect, our fortune must be in Krishna. Cannot be anywhere else. Otherwise, there would be no real reason for our existence. This is, you can say, the wake-up call, but necessary for us to heed that call. And when we recognize it as being true, however much we don't like that truth, perhaps we need to answer the call and try our best to come forward for that, because this is all for our own ultimate benefit in life. Nothing else will give us our destiny and our satisfaction.
We have a question here, Jay, from one of our dear viewers online, who's remaining little anonymous. Prabhu Dandavats, could you please offer some solace to those who want to think of Krishna at the time of death, but worry whether or not they will be blessed to be able to do so?
Yes, very good question.
Oh, Shanti didn't hear.
Didn't hear the question.
Can you offer some solace to those who want to think of Krishna at the time of death, but worry whether or not they will be blessed to be able to do so?
Okay. So yeah, this is not just their question. We find this in Prapannajivanamrita, Srila Maharaj's book, explaining the process of Sharanagati, of surrender to the Lord. And there, I think maybe it's Kulashekar, I think, or I think it's Kulashekar. And he says, now I'm in good health and my brain's okay, then I can think about you, Lord. I can remember you. But at the time of death, I don't know what my situation may be. My mind may be everywhere. And how will I remember you? Then he says, better to take me now when I'm thinking about you. While I can remember you, take me now. So it's a real question. And I tell you, maybe you've heard me tell this before, but once when I was in India, in Navadvip, and I was swimming across the Ganges. Doesn't look very far, but it's actually quite far to go from one side to the other and then back again. So anyway, I was swimming there, coming back. And as I was coming back across the river, there was a snake in the water, a black snake, small snake, and it was coming towards me. And I started feeling afraid. I didn't know, is it like a poisonous snake? Is it going to bite me? Am I going to die? And I started praying, actually. Oh, I'm in the river Ganges, which is the water coming directly from the feet of the Lord. Then if I die now, that must be a glorious death. So I was, please, Lord, let me remember, if I'm going to die now, let me remember your lotus feet. And I remember as the snake got closer and I could feel like a cold sweat in the water, like the fear of the snake coming towards me. But instead of thinking about the Lord, all that was coming in my mind, I remember it very clearly, was Flintstones, meet the Flintstones. They're the Monsters family. Anyway, then the snake wasn't interested in me, just swam on by, and there I was. But I remember thinking, wow, if I'd have died then, would I have gone to Krishna, or would I wake up with my neighbor being Barney Rubble in bedrock? I don't know. So anyway, but they say, right, there's a saying that everything will be all right in the end. And if it's not all right, then it's not the end. So the whole process of bhakti, you can say, is to prepare us for dying, because it's something that we can't avoid. Everyone's going to die, you know. Madhusudana Maharaj often says, no one gets out alive. You know, so, you know, we're all destined for that. So the whole process of Krishna consciousness is every day we're doing things to remember Krishna. This is called sadhana bhakti. This is the process that we've, you know, enrolled for, to practice every day. So, you know, then it's important that as part of that practice, that we're conscious about it. Because otherwise it can just become like a rote, sort of mind-numbing repetition. We're singing all these songs every morning, you know. That these are songs that Srila Sridhar Maharaj has chosen for us to sing every day, you know. You should remember the Gadadhar Pandit and Nityananda Prabhu and, you know, and so on. And remember them, and remember the families of the associates of the Lord. But sometimes we're just parroting it, right? We're not even thinking about it. We're thinking about something else entirely. So, you know, then we, you know, again, we have two eyes, right? So when we're singing the song with one eye, reading the verse, the other eye, we should be looking what the meaning of the verse is. It's important to know what it is we're singing, that we're not just parroting. What does it mean? Doesn't matter. We just have to get through it, you know, and then breakfast, you know, like have to do it every day. But, you know, it shouldn't be that, you know. That can become a kind of religious life that people have, you know. And like, you know, I was raised as a Christian, and I used to think, well, we go to church every Sunday, and there's all these like old people there, and they're all singing, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. That's meant to be a joyous thing, you know, but it's a dirge, Hallelujah. Then we don't want the songs that we sing every day in the temple or at home in Krishna consciousness to be a dirge, you know, or just something that we have to get through. We should be conscious about it and try and enter into the meaning of it. Srila Sridhar Maharaj chose all these songs for a reason, for us to remember that, you know. The first song is, you know, we're remembering what the process of surrender is, what the, you know, the qualities of surrender are, Sharanagati, all of these things. So if we do that, if we try and do that in a conscious way, mindfully do that every day, then when we die, those things will come into our mind. Those things, you know, like everything that we learn, especially when we're children, it stays with you forever. And, you know, that's my experience. Why the hell was I thinking about the Flintstones when I was in the river Ganges in Navadvip, you know, because that's what I was brought up on, isn't it? So, you know, don't be brought up on that. Be brought up on the songs of Narottam Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and, you know, then, and the teachings of Mahaprabhu. These things are all there for us to remember. So this is, you know, the process. Shravanam and Kirtanam, hearing about the Lord and then repeating those things, but not just like a parrot. If you Google it on the internet, you can find there's at least one film of a parrot chanting Hare Krishna. But maybe you've seen it. But what does that mean? Then they say, like somebody asked Guru Maharaj, right, about at the time of his death, Mahatma Gandhi, when he was shot, he said, Ha Ram, Ha Ram, called out the name of Ram at the time of his death. Then Guru Maharaj said, then someone asked Guru Maharaj, does that mean that like he went back to Godhead when he called the name of Ram? And Guru Maharaj said, depends what he was thinking, depends, like, where was his consciousness at the time of his death? Was he remembering Ram, or was he just saying, oh God, I've been shot, like, it's the equivalent of that, right? If he was a Christian, he would have said, oh God, but he's a Hindu, so he said, oh Ram, I've been shot. Was that what he was thinking, or was he thinking about the lotus feet of the Lord? We don't know. So, then it's important for us to try to remember the Lord. And so the acharyas in their commentary on Krishna's words in Bhagavad Gita, that who remembers me at the time of death, they will attain me. Then they say that it's not just about remembering at that moment. It's about how you made the direction of your life. If the direction of your life is to try to every day, every moment, remember the Lord, then even if you forget the Lord, he won't forget you. And he can make himself known to you at any moment. So, this is our solace, that if we try, and it must be imperfectly, that we try to absorb ourselves in thoughts of the Lord and hearing about the Lord. Every day we're also reading, the scripture, hearing about the Lord's pastimes. If we try and do that every day, that's going to be the direction of our consciousness. So, then association, Guru Maharaj said, Srila Maharaj, he said, the most important thing in your spiritual life will be your association. And he said, 99.9% of your advancement in Krishna consciousness will depend on your association. So it doesn't just mean like who you share a room with, or like who your friends are, or that not that, but what it is that you allow into your consciousness. What kind of association do you allow into your consciousness? So that's up to us. And as much as possible, we should try and cultivate the remembrance of the Lord. And that's why our gurus have devised a program for Krishna consciousness every day. And it's not just kind of, like a brainwashing or something. In the 70s, especially in America, they used to have deprogrammers that would capture devotees and like deprogram. You've been brainwashed. We're going to take you somewhere and help you to become normal again. And one of them, I forget his name now, but he one of the more famous ones or infamous ones, he used to say, is this just repetition, this Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna? You might as well be chanting Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola. But I say, like, try and chant Coca-Cola for like 2 hours in the morning. See how long it takes before you're going crazy. You can't do it. Mm-hmm. But somehow or another, we're doing every day, we're chanting the holy name of the Lord. And we're not going crazy, or maybe we're going crazy, but in a good way, becoming crazy for Krishna. That's what we want, actually, So, by practicing our sadhana every day, if we try and do that in a conscious way, there's a good chance that when we leave this world, we'll remember the Lord. And if we don't, he'll remember us.
We have a question from our dear Sevarupa Didi. If you'd like to unmute your camera, your microphone.
Dhanavad. Dhanavad Sripad, Devashis Prabhu, and all the dear devotees. I just wanted to ask on verse 27, Prabhu was saying that of the paths, and so the 27 is talking about Bhakti Yoga. But before that, there's also two paths, and I just wasn't sure. So it's talking about the one path is for the yogis, and the other is for the karma yogi. But does it mean that Bhakti Yoga is not for those two paths, or is there a different path? That was my question.
Yeah. Bhakti Yoga or the Bhakti Yogi isn't dependent on that, on which way the sun's moving, or what time of the day they pass, or any of these things, or even fixing the consciousness at the Agya chakra in the forehead. These are the paths of the yogis. It means the Ashtanga Yoga, the eightfold process of Ashtanga Yoga. But Bhakti is different to that. Although, actually, if you read the teachings of Patanjali, it comes to Bhakti Yoga, actually, finally, that one of the processes, the Ashtanga Yoga, higher processes, is surrendering to the Lord, surrendering yourself to the will of the Lord. So it comes to the same thing, actually, ultimately. But in Bhakti, you can go directly to Lord Krishna. And usually the Bhakti yogi, when the soul leaves their body through their mouth, Hare Krishna, through the mouth, then that's why in the final verses of this chapter, from 23 to 28, Krishna is explaining more this side, that Bhakti is the path. Whether it's the bright path or the dark path, it doesn't matter. In Bhakti, it's always the bright path, if you like. The brightest path is Bhakti. And these are other processes of yoga, karma yoga, so on. But Bhakti Yoga, when one comes to the point of Bhakti Yoga, then all these other considerations are not so important. The most important thing is to remember the lotus feet of the Lord. So, and Ashtanga Yoga actually is only, you can say, like a more convoluted path to reach the same conclusion. Srila Guru Maharaj said when he was a young man, he met this man, his name was Pranavananda, and he was the founder of the Bharat Seva Ashram. And he wanted to recruit Guru Maharaj to become part of his mission that he made there. And Guru Maharaj said, "Oh, I already gave my heart to Mahaprabhu, to Chaitanya Dev." And he said, yes, that Pranavananda, he said, yes, I also think that what Chaitanya Dev has given, the Krishna Prema, that is the highest thing. But so that won't be misunderstood, so that won't be misunderstood by the people, first of all, we should practice the abnegation taught by Buddha. Follow that. This was his recommendation. And then he said, then secondly, we should study the Vedanta of Shankara. And then we, after doing those things, then we can come to the path of Krishna Prema that Mahaprabhu has given. And Guru Maharaj has said, well, I'm very happy that you can understand that what Mahaprabhu has given is the highest thing. But Mahaprabhu didn't say we have to practice Buddhism and then follow the Vedanta Shankara. He said, from wherever you are, you come to me now, come directly to Krishna consciousness now. And he said, then he was silent. He had to be silent. He couldn't say I was wrong, so he had to be silent. So this is, when we come to the path of bhakti, then all other paths are not actually necessary.
Questions here?
I don't have a question. I
Oh.
just want to share something which I would like to see your thoughts on it. You know Sabari Mata from Ramayana?
Yes,
Yeah.
Sabri,
So
yes.
she waited whole of her life for Lord Rama. And when Sri Rama came, she could have asked anything, but only thing she asked to give her the Nauda Bhakti, 9 years of devotion thing. That is what she asked for from Sri Rama. So that shows like how important is Bhakti Yoga.
Do you mind repeating that?
So Prabhu was talking about Shabri. She's mentioned in Ramayana. Her guru told her, she was a, like you can say, like jungle woman,
Yeah.
like native woman, like in India they call Adivasi.
Yeah.
You know, they live in the jungle, like kind of almost primitive. But her guru told her, one day Ram will come to you. And taking the word of her guru, she believed that wholeheartedly. And her whole life she waited for that day Ram will come. And what we were saying is, when he did come, he asked her, you asked for something from me, some boon, and he said, teach me the 9 processes of bhakti. This was her. And in India, if something takes a really long time, people say, oh, you're going to wait a Shabri for that.
Patience.
You know,
The
so
meaning of the
she's renowned for that. But actually, her example in Ramayana is an example of Raganuga Bhakti, actually, found in Ramayana. Because every day she would go out into the jungle and she would collect some fruits and berries to offer. She's thinking, maybe today Ram will come. This fruits I can offer to him. But before, putting them on the plate, she would take a bite out of each one. Is it sweet or this is sweet? Put it in the bowl for Ram. This is sour. No, I can't offer that to Ram. So when Ram came and she had her bowl ready to offer to him, and Lakshman saw it's like half eaten. Everything's half eaten, and when she went to offer it to him, he was angry. He's like drawing his sword. It's like, what is this? But Ram said, no, brother, you don't understand that although she's tasted each one of these fruits, it wasn't for her. She tasted for me.
Yeah.
So this is actually Raganuga Bhakti, spontaneous, not like,
Yeah.
loving devotion
Loving devotion.
above the rules and regulations of the scripture.
Yeah.
It was very beautiful, actually.
Thank you, Prabhu.
I think also that is what it's all about. Like all these, eventually we have to, some love has to come out of our practicing, because if we are truthful, it's all very beautiful. Also the practice is beautiful, and that is, I think, what we can wake up in ourselves, the love for the love for the Lord eventually, because all these things I think here it said, Asaspatam.
It's a little bit
Dukalaya.
louder, Sachi.
You have to
A
say
little bit
louder.
louder.
Oh, yeah. Everything here is of impertinence, which is the abode of suffering. Everything. And you were mentioning also that what Srila Govinda Maharaj heard from the sadhus, that your mother is nothing, your father is nothing. It's all, not permanent. And then this morning, actually, I was reading in the centenary book that first, when Srila Guru Maharaj was studying at the university, then he heard from one of his students where he had association with, that he spoke about his father as being that gentleman. And Srila Guru Maharaj was very astounded, a bit upset actually about it. Like, why do you speak about your father as that gentleman? And then he realized, or that friend of him, that associate, was speaking to him, actually, your father, mother, children, your relatives, in a way also they are strangers to you, but the Lord is so close to us. And then Srila Guru Maharaj was speaking about it. We are so lost in the world, in the infinite world, but then having that shelter of having the connection with the Lord, that will give us hope, that will give us sustenance, that will give us love in life. Real, but here is said, like, of no impertinence, that gives pertinence, and that is not an abode of suffering, that is abode of real happiness. So I was just thinking that.
Hi.
Okay. So we have another question for him.
Yeah.
What are the days and nights of Brahma, and what happens to living entities during these cosmic cycles?
So yeah, there one day of Lord Brahma is actually so many billions of years by our calculation. So Lord Brahma, he is the first manifested being, created being, who is, you can say, the engineer of the universe. In each universe, there is a Brahma. And his day and his night, they're, by our calculation, almost incalculable. And in the daytime, all living beings are manifested, and in the night, his nighttime, they're again unmanifested. So that is so many Chaturjugas. Chaturjuga means the four ages. The Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dharapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. One Chaturjuga, and so many Chaturjugas make up the day of Lord Brahma. So one Chaturjuga is 4,320,000 years, and there's one day of Lord Brahma is 1,000 Chaturjugas. So that's, for us, almost incalculable. And also this, yes, not incalculable, but inconceivable to us, that amount of time. And during that time, significantly, the Lord comes as Swayam Bhagavan Krishna only once in one day in Lord Brahma. So that's within 1,000 Chaturjugas. He appears once as in his fullness as Lord Krishna in Dwapara Juga. That means with his whole spiritual entourage comes with him, manifests Vrindavan. In every Dwapara Yuga, Lord Krishna comes and speaks Bhagavad Gita and so on, but not in every Dwapara Yuga does he show his full Vrindavan pastime. And so as Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. So Bhagavan, that the word Bhagavan is used. Generally, we are considering the word Bhagavan means who is full with 6 opulences, all 6 opulences. Then that sometimes is used for others also. Like Narad is also called Bhagavan sometimes, and Lord Shiva also called Bhagavan sometimes, like that. So sometimes great personalities also call as Bhagavan. But Jiva Goswami, he's given a very fine interpretation of the word Bhagavan. He's saying that the word Bhagavan comes from Bhajaniya Guna Vishishta. That means that when one comes in connection with that person, the only natural response will be that person will want to give themselves to them, and so he says that therefore this word Bhagavan, in its true sense, can only apply to Lord Krishna. And then even further than that, he says, so, and Swayam Bhagavan, Swayam means the original Bhagavan. That must mean Krishna in Vrindavan. But not just Krishna in Vrindavan, but when Krishna is with the gopis. And not just with the gopis, but when he's by the side of Srimati Radharani. Then he can be Swayam Bhagavan. So we know that during the Krishna's rasa dance, that he's dancing with all of the gopis, and each of the gopis thinking he's up dancing just with me. But actually, that Krishna is called Swayam Prakash. That means an expansion of Swayam Bhagavan. And the original Swayam Bhagavan only with Srimati Radharani. So the actual conception of Bhagavan in its fullness means Lord Krishna when he's with Srimati Radharani. Srila Prabhupada says, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, in one of his purports regarding this, he said, actually, without Radharani, Krishna is not so beautiful. But when he's with her, then he's more beautiful. This is our Ishta Devata, is the divine couple in Vrindavan, and he appears in this form, in his fullness. It is his eternal form, but he only appears on this plane, the earthly plane, once in the day of Lord Brahma. So that means only once in 4,320,000,000 years. And that just happens to be the Dwapara Yuga that just happened. And as a result of that, in the Kali Yuga, then Lord Chaitanya appears in every Kali Yuga as the Chana avatar, means a hidden avatar, as his own devotee. He comes every Kali Yuga to inaugurate the religion for the age, or the process of self-realization for the age, which is Harinam Sankirtan. But once in the day of Lord Brahma, he appears as Shayam Bhagavan Mahaprabhu. And in that advent, if you like, he shows his inner reason for appearing in the world to taste the devotion to himself that's only experienced by Srimati Radharani. So that is, he is thinking, Krishna is thinking, I am known as Rasaraj, or Akila Rasamrita Murti. That means the embodiment of all rasa. So all 5 rasas present in Lord Krishna, in their fullness, and especially the Madhura rasa. But he is thinking, but what Srimati Radharani experiences in her love for me and in her devotion to me, which that is called Mahabhav, and that's her property. I want to experience that. What she is experiencing, I want to experience myself. And I cannot. But maybe I can if I become my own devotee. So this is, Prabhu was saying how important bhakti is, shown by Shabri, but here we see that bhakti is so important that it can even convert Lord Krishna into a devotee. And when Mahaprabhu was a boy, Nimai Pandit, we read about in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat, when he's, roaming around in Navadvip, and like the apple of everybody's eye, all the Vaishnavas, they're saying, oh, that Nimai Pandit, he's so brilliant. Just if only he were a devotee. And then, of course, then he ostensibly he becomes converted after meeting with Ishvara Puri, when he goes to Gaya to do the funeral rites of his father after his father's passing, and comes back as a devotee. He's become a devotee now. Nimai Pandit has become a devotee of Krishna. So he tells Srimati Radharani, in the Kali Yuga, I will appear as my own devotee, so that I can taste the ecstasy that you feel, and in your devotional service to me. And she says, yes, my Lord, but you cannot, you will not be able to remain conscious. You will faint with that ecstasy, you will faint. And I cannot tolerate the idea that your soft body will fall on the hard ground. So I will also advent at that time, and I will envelop you with my own self, with my Bhav and Kanti. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, I was there, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj was considering what is the English translation of Bhav and Kanti. So different devotees were offering their opinions about that, Bhav, emotion, or feeling, or like this, and Kanti, like what that means, glow or effulgence or something like that. And Guru Maharaj, Guru Maharaj is a wordsmith, He's like, he must find the right word to describe it. Srila Sridhar Maharaj told us once, I was born to preach Krishna consciousness in English language. And so finally he settled Bhav and Kanti, heart and halo. So Mahaprabhu is
Distinction.
So Mahaprabhu is Lord Krishna, Shama Sundar, enveloped by the barb and kanti of Srimati Radharani, the heart and halo of Srimati Radharani. And then that means that Shama Sundar, now Shama Sundar has become Gaura Sundar. Her name is Gaurangi. It means that she is golden. And he is now become Gauranga Sundar. Shama Sundar, Gauranga Sundar. So it is not correct to think that Lord Chaitanya is the incarnation of Lord Krishna. He is Lord Krishna directly. Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, enveloped by the heart and halo of Srimati Radharani. Shama Sundar now become Gauranga Sundar. And that is in this Kali Yuga. And this Kali Yuga of all, 4,320,000,000 years by our calculation. He appeared 500 years ago to give the highest conception of divinity ever revealed in all of those 4 billion years.
What a lucky.
And he has given that to us. Guru Maharaj said, distributing nectar as if it were water. Then given that to us, and somehow or another we've come in connection with that. So it's saying that the gods in heaven are praying to take birth on the earth in this Kali Yuga just so they can be part of that. So then we're thinking, everything in Kali Yuga is very bad, but this is extraordinary. And that's why, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says, Anarpita Chirim Chirat, Kuruyana Vartina Kalosa Marpai Tamanu Dojala Rasam, so Bhakti Sri, that you have come to give what no avatar of the Lord, even including Lord Krishna, has ever given before. Prema Bhakti. You've come to give that to the world. The Ujjala Rasa, the original Madhura Rasa, you've come to distribute that to everybody. And here we are, like let's say, in the proximity of that. We've come in connection with that. It is unbelievable and inconceivable. It is, as the devotees in Villa Govinda like to say, Chamatkaran.
We heard also Maha Chamatkar.
Indeed.
Any short question?
I don't have a question, but again, I believe in Mirabai's devotion. So I was tracing her songs and all the stuff. And again, going through the websites, trying to understand the relationship between Saraswat Mat and also learning. So there was somebody who was with A.C. Bhaktivedanta trying to understand about Mirabai and her songs. And then Srila Prabhupada said that there is one song where they said that if Mirabai met Mahaprabhu because they were born on the similar timelines, and then they said Mirabai did not meet Mahaprabhu, but I think one of his disciples. And then she wrote a song on Mahaprabhu saying that in Dwapar you were born as a dark person, but now you're born as Gaura, tying, and rather than having a flute in your hand, you are chanting name, something like that. So is there on somewhere in ISKCON temple. So again, Mirabai talking about Krishna incarnation.
Yeah, no doubt. She is a very great devotee, but our Guru Maharaj, or Param Guru Maharaj, Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, we will have to ask Mirabai, under whose direction you worship Krishna? And under who? You are directly worshipping Krishna.
Yeah.
But we are worshipping under Srimati Radharani. And this is the proper channel. We have to go through the proper channel. One girl, a devotee, at the time of her initiation, Srila Govinda Maharaj told, her name is Mira, and Guru Maharaj, Gurudev told, your name is Mirabai, your devotional name. And then she was a little upset. Oh, I heard Saraswati Thakur said, we don't accept Mirabai because she worships Krishna directly. And then can't he give me a different name? She said. Then I told Gurudev, and he said, how do they know these things? He said. I said, well, because Guru Maharaj said, and you have also said. And then he said, but that is true. But if Mirabai were to come before us, we must offer our full obeisance at her lotus feet. So then everything is just black and white. But he did give her a different name, as he was not happy with that name. But this is our line. Our line is, as Srila Guru Maharaj said, we are Shuddha Shakta. That means that we worship Shakti, but in the highest sense, which is Srimati Radharani. Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he says, who worships Vishnu, he is called Vaishnava. Who worships Krishna, he is called Krishna. And who worships Srimati Radharani, they are called Gaudiya. This is the meaning of Gaudiya, the worshippers of Srimati Radharani. And this is our life.
Beautiful.
Jai.
Right. So Gaudiya doesn't mean like directly with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
It may mean that also, but this was his definition. Gaudiya means who worships Srimati Radharani.
Srimad Devashis Prabhu ki jai.
Can you repeat that one more time, what you just said, Sripad Devashis Prabhu, about Gaudiya means worshipping of Srimati Radharani, and then the other two?
Yeah, who worships Vishnu, they are Vaishnava. They're called Vaishnava. Who worships Krishna, they are called Krishna. And who worships Srimati Radharani, they are called Gaudiya.
Sometimes I've heard people chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
I've heard that before in ISKCON. I said, what are you saying?
Hi, Divya Shakti Devi ki jai.
All right. Thank you,
Hare.
everybody. Jai Guru Maharaj, Om Vishnu Pad, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Guru Maharaj, Om Vishnu Pad, Srila Bhakti Rakab Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai.
Jai.
Rupanuguru Vargya ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. And I go.
Hare Hare.